Hi, my name is Rachel Paxton. Today I'm going to show you how to can homemade blackberry syrup. In this class, you'll learn how to can homemade blackberry syrup. I'll lead you through the process step by step. I'll give you the recipe and canning supply list you can download and print out for future reference. You'll gain the confidence you need to try more canning recipes on your own. For this recipe, you're going to need 5 cups of blackberries, 3 cups of water, 1 cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of bottled lemon juice, clear gel, which is optional, and this will make 1 pint of syrup. So if you have more blackberries than this, you can make more than 1 pint, but it does take quite a bit of berries to make 1 pint. So this is a special treat to make when you have lots of blackberries, because blackberry syrup is really good. You're going to need a boiling water canner, a canning rack, a jar lifter, a fine mesh strainer, a canning thermometer, a wide mouth funnel, and pint canning jars. This is what a boiling water canner looks like. If you don't have one, you can get one at Walmart or you can order one from Amazon. They're about $32. There's a link to this in your course materials. And the kit comes with the funnel and the jar lifter too. So for $32, that's a pretty good deal. This is the canning rack that comes with the boiling water canner. You can buy this separately for $10. You can if you don't want to buy a boiling water canner, but you have a large stock pot that you want to use for canning, you can buy one of these separately and then put it in your stock pot. You just want to make sure that your stock pot is tall enough that you can have 1 inch or 2 of water above your jars. You don't want to set your jars directly in the bottom of your stock pot or they can break. So that's what the canning rack is for. And again, this comes with the boiling water canner also. Need a jar lifter, a wide mouth funnel, and a fine mesh strainer for getting the juice out of your blackberries. These are really inexpensive. They're about $10. You can find these at Walmart, or you can also order these from Amazon. You want to fill your canner about 3/4 the way full with water and start heating it to boil. Sterilize your jars, rings, and lids in the dishwasher. If you don't have a dishwasher, you can boil them in water on the stove, but it's easier to do it in the dishwasher. Just make sure that they're hot when you put the hot liquid into them, because it's not good to pour hot food into cold jars or they can break. So make sure their jars are hot. You can reuse your canning jars and your rings, but not the lids. You need to use new lids every time, so make sure you have plenty of lids on hand. First, you want to rinse the blackberries and place them in a large stock pot. Add 1 cup of water to keep them from sticking to the bottom of the pan. Crush the berries with a potato masher to help get the juice out of them and simmer it for 15 minutes. Next, you want to place your berries in a fine mesh strainer to strain the juice. You can use a colander too, but you might have trouble with some of the blackberry seeds going through the colander. You want to have a clear liquid. Another way you can do it is to put cheesecloth in the bottom of a colander and then put the berries in the cheesecloth, and that will help filter out some of the seeds and stuff. So the goal is to have a clear liquid and not have any of the blackberry seeds or pulp in your liquid. After you get all the juice out of your berries, you want to put them back in the stock pot. Add 2 cups of water to the berry juice. Add the sugar and then boil rapidly until the mixture reaches 225 degrees on a candy thermometer. So you want to place a candy thermometer in there to make sure it's 225 degrees, and the mixture will thicken as it's cooking. If you're happy with the thickness of the syrup, then you can leave it alone. Just keep in mind that your syrup is going to stay the thickness that it is right now. It's not going to cook anymore or thicken anymore when you're processing it in the boiling water canner. So however it is right now is how it's going to be. So if you like a thinner syrup, then it's going to be fine the way it is. But you can add some clear gel if you want it even thicker. Clear gel is a powder substance that is basically cornstarch, but it's not safe to use cornstarch in canning. So you need to either order this online from Amazon, or you might be able to find it in a specialty store. I know some Amish stores have clear gel because they use it a lot for canning too. It's not very expensive. A pound of it at Amazon is $10, I think, and a pound goes a long way. You only need a 1/4 cup or so per recipe. So this is really nice to have on hand. I use it in a lot of my canning recipes for making pie fillings and sweet and sour sauce and things like that. Anything that you want to thicken. So you can add a 1/4 cup of this or so to your syrup. It's best to, I don't have a picture of it. It's best to not stir this directly into your liquid or it will get clumpy. You want to put this, like a 1/4 cup of this, in a bowl and then pour a cup or so of the liquid into this and then stir it up really well and then put it back into your big pan so you don't have any lumps. You want to use a whisk to whisk it in really well. It's just like using cornstarch, and so it will make a lot thicker syrup if you use that, and I like a thick syrup, so I went ahead and used the clear gel. You'll see a link to the clear gel in your supply list if you would like to order some of that, and I use it a lot, and I also use it in my salsa recipe. Next, you want to stir in the lemon juice. So after you get the lemon juice all stirred in, you want to ladle your syrup into your sterilized jars, leaving a 1/4 inch headspace. The headspace is the amount of space between the top of the syrup and the top of the jar. It's important to have the correct amount of headspace because your food will expand in the boiling water canner when it's heated. This food will not expand very much. That's why you only need a 1/4 inch headspace. But it's always important to make sure you have the correct amount of headspace because you don't want your jars to break in your canner. Wipe your rims of your jars with a damp towel or paper towel and place the lids and rings on the jar. You're wiping them off so that you make sure there's no food on the top of them. That'll keep them from sealing. And when you put the lids and rings on, just put them on finger tight. Place them in the boiling water canner and process them for 7 minutes. If the water's not boiling when you put it in, just heat the water to boiling. You don't want to start the timer until the water's boiling. Make sure there's an inch or two of water above the jars. If you live above 1,000 feet in elevation, you're going to need to process the jars longer than 7 minutes. So check an altitude adjustment chart. There's one in your course materials. After the 7 minutes is up, use your jar lifter or tongs to remove the jars from the canner. Set them on the kitchen counter to cool. The jars may have sealed while they were in the canner, but sometimes it takes 10 to 15 minutes after you take them out. You might hear a pinging noise when it seals. You need to test the seals before you put the syrup away. You can tell if it's sealed or not by pressing your finger down in the center of the lid, and if it's flat, it is sealed, and if it goes down and up again, it is not sealed. If you have any jars that have not sealed, you can reprocess the jars by using a new lid, because that was probably the problem, is that you had a bad lid. So you can reprocess the jars with a new lid if you want, or you can, if you just have one that doesn't seal, it's best just to put it in the refrigerator and you can go ahead and eat it. Your sealed jars you can store in a dark, cool area for 1 to 2 years. This syrup is a little bit of effort to make. It's a little effort to get the juice out of the berries and to be patient until the syrup thickens and stuff on the stove, but this is something you make only once a year when blackberries are in season, generally in August, and this blackberry syrup is delicious and it's something you'll really enjoy in the wintertime. It'd be a nice treat to share with a favorite friend or family member, so it's definitely worth the effort. It's fun to make and fun to eat and something you should try at least once and see what you think of it. You can also make this recipe with blueberries, so if you want to use blueberries instead of blackberries, you would make it just exactly the same way. So give it a try and see what you think.